Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. And boy, have I been using them. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, I'm free. Graduation has come and gone. And then my classes start, and I really need to work on my yard and my garden. So, am I free? I want to do some traveling. I can't do it yet because I got to get other things done. But I'm freer. How about that? So, I really have no idea what to say for a comment. Let's just look at some pens. Alright, so these are the pens I've been using this week. Some changes because I missed last week. But from left to right, I have the Montblanc 146, Parker Sonnet, Cross Townsend, Toes Penkala Mirna, Sailor 1911, I think it's the smaller version, Lamy 2000 in the amber black finish, and a Waterman Carène that you haven't seen before. So we'll talk about the Waterman here in just a minute. Last time we were together, I had to replace my beloved seafood-flavored notebook with another seafood-flavored notebook that has crabs. So my first pen is the Montblanc 149 or 146. I just did a rodeo comparing this with my Pilot Custom 823. I came out slightly in favor of the Pilot Custom 823, but I almost feel like the audience sentiment was the exact opposite. Ebonite feed. I'm told it's a split ebonite feed, and it'll bounce a little bit with the nib because apparently it's attached to the nib. So I hadn't really researched that, so that might be something to learn about. But anyway, Montblanc. One thing that the Pilot was accused of is making the ink look darker. The reality is the ink had been in that pen for several weeks, so of course it looked darker. The ink in it is Edelstein, Smoky Quartz, which is a brown that I'm trying to use up. As I probably mention every week, and you're probably tired of hearing, I really want to shrink my ink collection down. So I've been kind of focusing on one color family at a time, but I decided I need to also have some variety, so I'm doing more than just focusing on, 8 bottles of ink. I've got 2 greens. I actually don't have many browns because I'm almost done with brown ink. On my last bottle of gray also. This is my Parker Sonnet. This is their newest version. I kind of like the, fancy little decorative cap. Parker makes classy looking pens. One of the complaints people have about this particular model is that it's a little bit thinner, and if you don't like thin pens, then yeah, that would be a problem for you. I own a Montblanc 146. I'm probably never going to own a Montblanc 149 because it's just too girthy for me. So this is Noodlers, another ink I'm trying to use up. Black Swan. In English Rose. In the right pen, this is a very nice shading ink. This isn't that pen. One of the things I struggle with Noodler's inks is if they've been in the pen for a while, they tend to take forever to dry. Now, some pens, they don't have that behavior. I haven't really noticed it in this pen. But when I say forever, I mean, I'm writing a pen pal letter overnight, and next morning I'm just like, oh, still not dry. That's bad. I also worry whether I'll get the same ink next time, or whether it's going to be a different color because inconsistency. So this is the Cross Townsend. I just got into Cross a year or two ago. You know, most of what I buy is vintage. You know, that Montblanc was a vintage pen. Not very vintage, but vintage. But every so often I buy a modern pen. I've got a modern pen I'm going to video laying over here one of these days. Got some vintage pens, some East German vintage I want to do too, and a modern East German pen, which it's no longer East Germany, it's just Germany, but was from East Germany. It's actually one I'm enjoying very much. So this is a Cross Townsend with a medium nib. I just think this finish is really nice looking. The ink in it is Lamy bronze. Yeah, that would be the orange I'm trying to use up right now. It comes in a nice bottle too, so you know, the Lamy bottles are great. You can decant other inks into them when they're empty. I really like Sailor Epinard. Did not like their flat bottles that it came in, so I have my Sailor Epinard in an empty Lamy black bottle. True story. Sailor Epinard happens to be an ink I really like. Oh, I forgot, this is the Scuderia finish, if it means anything. I was trying to remember what that horsey meant on the clip. I think it's a horse. Is that Porsche or Ferrari now? I can't remember. Yeah, that's a horse. Sorry, I had to... Has an SF, so I'm guessing Ferrari. Oh yeah, here we go. It's written on the back right here. It says Ferrari. Okay, so guess who doesn't know his exotic sports cars? I tell my students that I've got a Porsche and a Ferrari in my garage, and they ask where the garage is. I say, it's under the house. The whole house tips up. They don't believe me. So this is a Toes Penkala Mirna. Nice 1970s pen. Just take a look at the barrel, since this pen is running on fumes, so you're not going to see it next week. Yes, I could refill it, but I've got another pen project coming, so... Because it's June, and I always try to do something fancy with my pens and inks in June. So this is a Toes / Penkala Mirna. Has a fine nib in it. And the ink in it it's a nice one. It's Rohrer and Klingner. Maybe the microphone's picking that up. Yes, I do have my windows open. I open up the windows at night. It's warm enough now. And then as it starts to heat up outdoors, I close them. And then the house doesn't get too bad. Before too long, I'll probably be putting the air conditioner in. In fact, I might put that in this weekend, but not to run it, just to have it. Because it's getting toward that season. I tried to tough it out for a few summers, but southwestern North Dakota, it gets hot. I finally decided, why am I sitting in here and suffering? Okay, this is Sailor 1911. My Sailor 1911 has a zoom nib on it. Normally I like to put, green or orange inks in this one, but this time I decided to go with one that actually matches the pen. Of course, part of the fun of a zoom nib is if you go upright, it writes very fine. If you're laying it down more, it gets very broad. The ink in it is, I'll just abbreviate, Rohrer and Klingner. Blue Mare. Which is in the turquoise family I'm trying to use up. I got a Lamy turquoise yet and a Monteverde turquoise. After I use this up, who will be the winner? Well, it won't be the Monteverde turquoise because apparently they don't make that anymore. Maybe they do now. I know when they went through the big change with their ink lineup, that one disappeared. Who will be the winner? Who knows? Sorry, just drew a complete blank what pen this was. This is a Lamy 2000. So this has been my daily writer. Usually by now it's taking a nap. But I didn't use it for much of the winter, so I wanted to spend some time with it. The ink in it is Pelikan Edelstein Onyx, which is a black ink that I am trying to use up. It's nice enough black ink. I did a video a few years ago about black inks. I guess I don't see a problem with this one. The one that actually came out on top in that video a few years ago was Lamy Black. I have a lot of black ink. I'm not sure how it happened, but I do. So I'm working on using them up. I'm slowly working my way through the bottles, but that is a color like Parker Quink Washable Blue that I use up a lot. Speaking of Lamy 2000s, this is the amber black finish that they did as a special edition a few years ago. I think it's very attractive. I thought it was way overpriced, so when the price came down at one of the retailers I was watching, I bought it. You can still find them with a much lowered price. So, Lamy 2000, oblique broad. A lot of people just felt like there's nothing that special about this finish. I think a lot of people were expecting them to do like a blue or a red or, something. So as a matter of fact, they have been doing some different color Macrolon finishes. So pick one up if you want. I'm not sure what all colors they've done. So this has an oblique broad nib in it. Again, another green that I'm trying to use up. I happen to really like the color on this one, but again, you remember I was talking about how Noodlers tend to struggle with the whole drying thing. And see here, maybe you'll have to look at the photograph, but here you can kind of see why I do the diagonal hatches and the vertical and horizontal hatches. Okay, so my last pen, little story, is not the Waterman Carène that you're used to seeing. This one's green. Kind of an olive green. So let me tell you how I got this one. I got this one fairly low cost because the nib was bent. It looked like somebody dropped it like this and it just went boink right on the nib and went. So, just so happens, I have an extra, well I had, now it's on this pen, an extra Waterman Carène nib. So I put it on this pen, and now I have two Waterman Carènes. And I have a all bent up nib too if I really want to use it for something. So here on this very page, Cactus is spelled with Wow. Cactus is spelled with a C, but I want to write Carène. On this very page, you can see 3 different greens that I've been trying to use up. The Alt-goldgrün is close. These 2 are very far away. So this one is Akkerman. Groenmarkt, Smaragd. I'll just be honest, the color does nothing for me. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of meh. I sort of like the Noodlers. I really like the Alt-goldgrün. But anyway, now I hear children outside. They're probably looking at my yard and my garden thinking, when are you going to get to that? Oh, gee, because I've been focusing on the backyard garden. Alrighty, so those are the pens and inks I've been using this week. Sorry I missed last week. It's weird. Every time school lets out, I've got big plans, and then I get sick. So, I got sick. Even on Saturday, I was still really just shaky and felt rotten. So, but I'm feeling a lot better now. Did some work outside, really cleaned up the house. Need to do a lot more work outside, so that's what I'm going to do after this. But if you can't tell, I've got this window open. It's blowing the curtain at me. I'm going to close it soon because the morning sun is coming in this window, and it contains a lot of energy. I don't want to heat the house up too much. I have an air conditioner, but I prefer not to use it if I don't have to. So I shouldn't have to for a couple weeks yet anyway, but I might put it in if I feel like I have some time one evening. All right, so in exciting news, I put just a couple of things in my links, and then I just had a couple personal remarks I was going to make. So one of the things I put in, which was kind of yikes, was a school in Marlin, Texas, which is postponing its graduation because it turns out only 5 of their seniors are eligible. Now, I feel like somehow we are missing part of the story there, but if only 5 seniors are eligible, something is going wrong. 5 out of 30. So they're actually graduating more students this year than my school did, because we only graduated 24. But still, only 5 kids eligible, and you don't notice till so late in the year that you actually have to postpone graduation. So if you want to read more about it, I put a link below. I researched Marlin a little bit. It looks like it's a community that they have some problems there. The school has actually improved a lot over the last few years. Still have a long ways to go, obviously, but a place where they probably have to work a lot harder than I do to teach. So it just kind of shows the importance of education and the role that schools fill. Public schooling is very important to this country. I know people like to blast it, but you'll notice if you start talking to people, usually it's the local schools okay. It's those other schools, could U.S. schools be better? Absolutely. But are they the dystopian nightmare some people seem to present them as? No. Are they the brainwashing centers some people seem to think they are? No. Far from it. We're too busy actually teaching to worry about brainwashing. Unless we're brainwashing you to put away your cell phone or do your homework. Okay, guilty. The other article I posted was an interesting one because it was about 2 Christian homeschoolers. They'd been brought up as homeschool students under actually very yikes type of discipline. And I would just, the whole story of their courtship, not my culture. where they were escorted, where dad told his daughter about this man rather than she met him. She was introduced to him by dad. Dad picked the guy out. Luckily, it turns out he's a really good guy, but not my way of operating at all. Anyone I've been involved with, I picked for myself. Thank you very much. But anyway, they married, had kids, and really struggled with the severe corporal punishment, but by which I mean physical discipline, and decided not to go that route. And then they started questioning a lot of the beliefs they'd grown up with. They have 4 kids, and they ended up, first they sent just one to public school, and then they found out, hey, public school really isn't so bad. And they ended up sending the rest of them to public school. And right now, these 2 parents are trying to learn about a world that they had been sheltered from their whole lives. That talks about the dad having stacks of books on evolution and science, because clearly in this environment they were taught the 6-day creation story that, it was 6 literal days 6,000 years ago. And the Noah thing really happened. That's how they were brought up. So it was just an interesting insight, because I've always wondered with these kids who are sheltered like that, don't get to meet other viewpoints, other ideas. What happens to them? Do they ever escape, or are they trapped in that forever? So, that was an article that gave me some hope. So I thought I would share it. And on that note, I got to listen to 3 graduation speeches. So we had 1 salutatorian and 2 valedictorians. I'm not going to go into that. But I've got some advice for seniors myself. And this goes for anybody. Get out. Get out and do new things. Meet new people. I don't care if you go to college, although I do think it's a good thing, even if you go to a 2-year school. Get out, go to college. If you don't go to college, get out, get a job. But get out and work somewhere else. Get out and make new friends somewhere else. Really challenge yourself. Don't go to the next town over. I mean, truly, get out on your own. Find out who you are. One of the great things about college for me, and I got called out on my college by one of my viewers. That's where I went. But even being the kind of college it was, meeting the variety of people that I got to meet, having my views challenged, suddenly finding that, I don't get praise just because I think the group think of my little small town where I grew up. Or your big town. I mean, if you're in New York City, get out. Go live somewhere else for a while. I don't care where you are. This is good, healthy advice. Make new friends. Get out among new people. If you're from a very small area, it's very healthy, especially, to get out, because small areas tend to get into kind of a groupthink. Find out that there's people of different religions, different sexual orientations, different races, different skin colors. Get to know them as people. Work for somebody who doesn't know you. Where you don't have instant approval because you're Joe Bob's kid. You may decide after a couple years of working or living somewhere else among different people, hey, I'm ready to have kids. I really want to raise them where I was raised. Or maybe you were really happy where you were raised. There's nothing wrong with going back. It's the fact that you got out and tried something new and learned something new. And sometimes had your beliefs challenged, other times had them reaffirmed. That, I think, is part of what happened with this young couple I was talking about, is they got out into the world and found out, it's not this black and white, religious-centered world. And a lot of things were kept from us. We were kept ignorant. You just discover those things, all those things you don't know. After I finished college, I excuse me, I decided to abandon everything and go on an adventure for a couple of years. I thought it'd be fun to spend a couple of years teaching somewhere else. Now, I knew some people going to Colorado. Of course, Hawaii would be amazing. California. My telephone is ringing, but just going to keep talking here. Hi, editing me here. So, apparently the phone can't run the camera while it's ringing, so you're going to lose my face till it gets done ringing. Sorry. And I'll answer it later. Oh, about my adventure. So I decided to go to North Dakota. I'd always been interested in the plains. In fact, I did a video a while back about a book by Lois Lenski called Prairie School that kind of put the plains into my head. And so I moved to a little town called Westhope, and I've done a retrospective on Westhope. Didn't have the best experience there, but I was a new teacher, so of course I didn't. If you know a new teacher, that first year is hell. Usually if you can get your teacher to last 5 years, they'll stick with it. But that first year is just awful. And you don't have any respect from the parents or the kids your first year. First couple of years. Having some gray hair really helps. So, just saying. But anyway, getting back on topic here, my point is that I did it. I lived my advice. Now, at this point in my life, would I pick North Dakota? Probably not. But I'm glad I did it. Because the other thought I've had, there was going to be a physics teacher opening at my old high school. And it's a rural town, just like I live in now. I probably could have taken that job. Lived my whole life in my town. Glad I didn't. I got out, branched out, tried new things. Should I maybe have tried living in a city? Probably. The town where I went to college is the largest place I've lived. Maybe that's something I need to try. Maybe if I go back to Pennsylvania, I should go live in Philadelphia. I was watching a video the other day about that. Branch out, try something new. So, that's my big advice for high school seniors is get out, try something new, live somewhere else, do your own thing, figure out who you are, who you're starting to discover you are, is really going to change as you get to know and interact with other people, with new people in new places. You're just starting on that adventure of discovering who you are. Heck, I thought I knew who I was, and I changed my views on a lot of things over the years. 18-year-old me would hardly recognize 47-year-old me. It's amazing what 29 years will do for you. So, and I imagine 47-year-old me is going to look at 77-year-old me and say, "Oh, you've changed a lot." That's just life, and that's how it should be. Grow and change. So, anyway, I want to thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, if you're older, did you do that? Did you move somewhere else? Try new things? Do you regret it? Did you go back home? Let us know down in the comments. So I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.